This is the Non-Prophets. I'm your host, Vic Farrow, your guest host, because Jeff is sick this week. With us is Mary McManamee.
Hi, y'all.
And our guest, Charles. I don't know your last name. Tabony. All right, okay. Don't know your guest before you go the show on. That's good. Also with us is Russell Glasser, our producer.
Over here.
Yeah. And we had Martin, but he disappeared, so
He's around.
he's around here somewhere. Anyway, this show is brought to you by the Atheist Community of Austin. We are live February 9th, 2002. Today's opening music was
XTC.
Dear God.
Thank you.
That's right. I remember it now. All right. The Atheist Community of Austin is a non-profit educational organization promoting positive atheism and the separation of church and state. We have weekly meetings Sunday mornings at Hot Jumbo Bagel Shop, 37 West 5th Street at 10:30 a.m., except for the first Sunday of each month when we have our lecture series at 11 a.m. at the Longhorn Room and First Cafeteria at North Cross Mall. Our next lecture will be at March 3rd. Our last lecture, which was last week, she was surprisingly well. Thank you, Mary.
You bet. We all enjoyed John Rumrich's visit. The English professor.
Yes, I had reservations because I'm not a big English lit fan, and I was like, okay, I'll go, but I'm going to be asleep. No, I was not asleep at all. It was a thoroughly fascinating. In fact, I took notes. Well, I started taking notes of everything because I went to the Ralph Nader event, and
Democracy Rising?
Democracy Rising,
yeah.
And I didn't take any notes because I wasn't planning on talking about it, and then I ended up talking about it twice. And I'm having to come up with this stuff off the top of my head with no notes. So that doesn't work.
I see you've got your reporter notes.
I got my reporter notes, yes.
Right.
I use these at work because they're really convenient.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to our regular announcements. ACA board meetings take place at 10, but, this is an internet audio show, so we don't care. Once every 3 months in celebration of the solstice or equinox or what have you, we invite members of the ACA to that's for the TV show. Never mind. I've lost track of Jeff's notes here, and so he's probably at home going, ah!
You hear that, Jeff? Ah!
Randall's cards. Those of you who shop at Randall's, and if you don't live in Austin, that doesn't apply to you. But, hey, can give them our nonprofit organizational number, 5158, and have 1% of your purchase donated to the Atheist Community of Austin. Goddess Gamers meets every Monday night at 7 p.m. at the home of Jeff and Manda. ACA Happy Hour takes place at Antonio's near Highway 35 and 183 every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. If you get there and don't see anyone else, hang around. Lots of people trickle in as the night goes on. For more information, call our voicemail at 512-371-2911 or visit our website at www.atheist-community.org. And the chat room, if you want to talk with us on the chat room, is www.atheistnetwork.com. You can find the chat room from that page.
And Martin Wagner is back.
Oh, yeah, Martin.
Hi, everyone.
Hey.
Sorry.
Martin Wagner is the host of our cable access TV show called The Atheist Experience, which all of us have been a part of at some time or another. Mm-hmm. Martin is the current host, and we have him here today, and happy to have him.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me as a guest.
Yes.
It's kind of neat to be on that. I'm usually lurking in the chat room making wisecracks, but today I'm here.
I try to reach over and read the thing, but you got small fonts on that little thing, and it's really hard to see. No, that's all right. Don't change it because of me. I'm just babbling. Anyway, I was supposed to be off today, but Jeff, our host, is sick, so I had to come in and. Not that I mind, but I didn't have anything prepared, so I'm sitting here, desperately thinking of something to say off the top of my head.
That's okay. Your intrepid producer, have come up with some news, and so has Mary.
So why don't you guys go ahead and do some of that, and I'll just sit here in the background and be quiet.
Okay. Well, let me go ahead and do this top story here. I call it the top story because it's pretty timely. This is out of Chattanooga, Tennessee. And it's a story from the Chicago Tribune. The Tennessee county that grappled with religion in the classroom when it was the site of the Scopes monkey trial in 1925 was ordered Friday to stop teaching Bible classes in its elementary schools. The classes offered in Rea County for 51 years violate the constitutional separation of church and state, according to U.S. District Judge Alan Edgar.
Sometimes the good guys win.
Mm-hmm. An appeal is planned. Parental consent was not required for the weekly classes. Students who objected could participate in other activities. A couple had stood over the classes taught by students from Bryan College, a Christian college in Dayton. Dayton is where William Jennings Bryan and Clarence Darrow squared off in court during the prosecution of schoolteacher John T. Scopes for teaching evolution.
I thought it was Spencer Tracy and that.
Yeah. And who was Mencken? God, what's his name?
Shoot.
Mencken was
a great actor. Gene Kelly.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes,
That's
we're
right.
talking about Inherit the Wind, a terrific dramatization. And if you haven't seen the old black and white version, that is an awesome movie.
There is a book, I forget the author's name, but it's called Summer for the Gods, that goes into the Scopes trial and the consequences of that and the fundamentalist movements prior to and since then. And it was a really interesting book on the subject, if you're interested in that
Fantastic.
sort of thing. I forgot, there's more to this stuff that Jeff gave me that I should read because it's important. The National Atheist Ombuds. Any instances of slurs, defamation, or discrimination against atheists or other non-believers in the U.S. media can now be reported to the National Atheist Ombuds by emailing ombuds, O-M-B-U-D-S, at atheism.org. Please remember to include as many details as possible and a news source where applicable. Incidents will be reported to the participating national and local non-theist organizations who have agreed to distribute press releases regarding the reported subject matter. Third International Rationalist Conference that is today, yesterday, and today.
We've been getting rats over to India.
Never mind. You're not there. You're not going there. Forget about it.
But you could probably find something on the web.
Well, there's www.rationalistinternational, all one word, .net. And, that's as close as you're going to get if you're not already there.
They're an interesting group. They like go around to India and expose all of these phony, guys who claim to be able to, I guess rub
psychic
elephant
surgeons
dung on you and cure your whatever or something. And it's fascinating. All these phony spiritualists. India's crawling with them.
Yes, and they take advantage of people, and those are very poor people. It's actually sort of an atrocity to do something like that to them. Here in Austin, creation evolution debate.
this.
We all got our tickets. We're all going.
Thanks, Charles.
Thanks, Charles. Yeah. It will be held on February the 15th, next Friday, at 6:30 p.m. at the UT campus in UTC 2.112A. I suppose that's a room or a building.
Yeah.
I am not familiar with UT campus. Charles, what is that?
University Teaching Center.
It's on the ground floor, and it's not actually in any doors. You go, but it's underneath. It's surrounded by building, so you don't go any doors, but you go like in sort of like a tunnel, and it's a door to the outside, but inside the building.
So basically, we're going to have a debate in an alley.
No, isn't that big? I think I've had classes in there.
That's where all the creationist trolls in the audience will come crawling out of the little
Give me the creeps.
I'll hang out in the back alleys.
Tickets are $5. The event was organized by members of Helping Austin Area Schools, a registered student organization at the University of Texas at Austin with concerns about the quality of science education in our public schools. And they are expecting mostly Christians in the audience and have therefore extended a special invitation to non-believers.
It's amazing that we still have debates on this.
I know.
Well, what's interesting to me was that I actually read an email or a press release about this sort of thing, and the name of the actual title of the debate is something like...
It is?
Which is...
Intelligent Design.
No! Again, my first question to an intelligent design advocate is, why do we die? I mean, if it's so intelligently designed, why do we grow old?
There's a brand new book, like just this week or something like that, from the infamous William Dembski.
Oh, right. So,
where
does he go into that very thing?
Now he's come up with a bunch of new computer science mumbo jumbo, where he says there's no such thing as an algorithm which is effective unless it's designed.
And who is he again?
William Dembski
And
is
life
the
as an
math
algorithm?
guy. I think the entire intelligent design movement is three guys. There's Philip Johnson is the lawyer guy. William Dembski is the math guy, and then Michael Behe is the guy who sort of does science, although he's never published a paper on this stuff. What he did was went straight to popular books in trying to convince people that he's right.
Kind of
Doing science, pop science books?
Because creationism is not about scientific inquiry.
No.
Creationism is about supporting a religious ideology.
The milk that you work.
Oh, these things are yummy. The thing is that I read something in which the title of this debate was advertised as which is the better explanation for life, intelligent design or biological evolution. And I'm thinking, it has nothing to do with what the better explanation is what does the evidence show?
Right.
It's not which explanation do I like better.
No.
It's what can be examined and supported by the available evidence.
If
you have evidence that this big invisible man is snapping his fingers saying, let there be wood ticks, then show me the evidence for that.
We've got Trevor in the chat room just having a good old time with this topic. He says, evolution debate, are they going to debate if the world is flat tomorrow?
That might be
a debate on whether lead is heavy next week. And, when I first heard about this debate, and actually still, I have some major reservations, because by debating these people in public, it seems like we're sort of giving in to the idea that scientific truth can be determined by popular opinion. We all want to go down there and support this thing, but I continue to have my reservations because, frankly, what happens in these debates is that you get a guy who's a professional debater and does this thing for a living on the creationist side. And, even like Philip Johnson is the perfect example of somebody who doesn't know jack about science, but he's really good at rhetoric.
Yeah.
And then the guy on the evolution side over here is a local philosophy professor at UT, who I've heard is very good and intelligent.
But what do you know about biology?
What does he know about debating?
Yeah.
Either one.
Well, the philosophy major, he probably
I bet he does.
philosophy.
I think it's philosophy of science. So, I mean, some of the really good ones are
philosophy
of
debates
science.
are much different from debating when you're trying to do stuff, because basically you ask a question and then answer it yourself and answer all possibilities, and all the others should come to contradictions or what you're trying to prove. And it's a much different style than when you're trying to just get up and BS your way through. You just make it sound good.
Well, one thing that I've found that intrigues me about the whole creationism issue is that it shows how Christianity has this schizophrenic attitude towards science in the first place.
Oh, yeah.
On the one hand, they deplore science because science has this incredible capacity to burst the bubble of human self-importance, right? I mean, people have this idea that we're all special and unique and wonderful, little magic, beautiful flowers. And scientific discoveries come along and they say, well, no, I mean, we're basically cells and, we do what we do. So on the one hand, because science can puncture the self-importance of religious belief, that tells us that, that has taught us for centuries to believe that the universe is pretty much here for us. But on the other hand, Christians do recognize that if you want to have any sort of street cred in your arguments, you've got to have, they recognize that in science that it's this agent of prestige, that it's the way taken seriously by intelligent people if you have this kind of, scientific background to your arguments. So this is like, creationism is Christians deploring science and yet trying to adopt science's principles at the same time to give their arguments more weight to be taken seriously by people whom they think are all going to hell anyway.
Now, there's a book about the intelligent design movement entitled The Tower of Babel.
Yes.
I've read that. I haven't gotten to it yet, but someone was
Written
telling
by
me.
a philosophy of science professor, by the way.
Okay, so maybe we have a chance. The thing that someone was telling me about this, because I haven't read it yet, that what intelligent design and creationists are most afraid of is that if you take away the idea that we are sinful and stuff like that, you take away the need for their big holy guy Jesus. And that just destroys their entire religion and sort of throws them out in the cold.
Right.
So their main focus is to get this taught in schools as opposed to evolution, because evolution is one of the biggest threats to their stranglehold on society.
Mm-hmm.
If people start waking up and understanding that there is answers other than their religion.
But that's puzzling at the same time. I mean, why should it be when you get right down to it? I mean, Pennock in that book Tower of Babel makes that very argument when he talks about questions he'd like to ask Philip Johnson if he had a chance, and one of which being, why is it completely impossible for it to have worked out that way? Why can't you have your all-powerful, loving, benevolent God and yet still have life forms evolve in the way that they do? I mean, why does it have to be this either-or situation? And I think that you put the nail on the head when you said that it all has to do with this authority that Christianity wants to wield over people.
Yeah.
Kind of like in the Name of the Rose. I've only read a bit of the book, but in the film, where you have like
that was the movie with
Sean Connery is kind of the rational monk, the Sherlock Holmes guy trying to solve the murder. But you have like the evil, nasty monk who is trying to ban these books. He's trying to suppress these books because they're humorous. It's comedy. And his and Sean Connery just asked him, what's wrong with a little laughter? What's wrong with humor? What's wrong with wit? And he says, if people are happy, then they're not afraid. And if you don't have fear, then you don't need God.
So in other words, religion is the ultimate terrorism.
I don't think they would say that bluntly in real life.
They wouldn't necessarily say it now, but I mean, it does have to do with why does evolution and creation have to be this either or scenario? And like either our all powerful God, said let there be and made us that way within 6 days, or this evil, horrible, godless thing called evolution happened where we all just emerged from mud and scum and crawled out and we were all tadpoles first. It has to be this. Why does it have to be this either-or scenario? Well, because if people don't believe that they're these special creations of this magical being, then they have then they have no reason to keep going to their churches and putting money in the coffers of.
Yeah. You know what? I'd like to take this opportunity to segue straight into another news story that I brought.
Oh yeah,
I don't mind.
Okay.
This says first genetic evidence uncovered of how major changes in body shapes occurred during early animal evolution.
No. We need to make sure Mr. Debater
a little bit of science
has
news
this in time for it.
Biologists at the University of California, San Diego, which is my alma mater, as a matter of fact, have uncovered the first genetic evidence that explains how large-scale alterations to body plans were accomplished during the early evolution of animals. In an advanced online publication, February 6th, by Nature, of a paper scheduled to appear in Nature, the scientists show how mutations in regulatory genes that guide the embryonic development of crustaceans and fruit flies allowed aquatic crustacean-like arthropods with limbs on every segment of their bodies to evolve 400 million years ago into a radically different body plan, the terrestrial six-legged insects. The achievement is a landmark in evolutionary biology, not only because it shows how new animal body plans could arise from a simple genetic mutation, but because it effectively answers a major criticism that creationists have long leveled against evolution: the absence of a genetic mechanism that could permit animals to introduce radical new body designs. The problem for a long time has been over the issue of macroevolution, says William McGinnis, a professor of UCSD's Division of Biology who headed the study. How can evolution possibly introduce big changes into an animal's body shape and still generate a living animal? Creationists have argued that any big jump would result in a dead animal, that wouldn't be able to perpetuate itself. And until now, no one's been able to demonstrate how you could do that at the genetic level with specific instructions in the genome. So, of course, I don't think this is going to even phase the creationists, because they've been going around saying for years, there's not one single example of a transitional fossil, which of course is a lie.
And they're going to be there's a whole room full of them.
Right. So I mean, they're going to come and continue saying, oh, there's no such thing as macroevolution, even though at this point it's been observed in a lab.
Oh, yeah. You show them episodes.
We got a link straight to the story from Trevor in the chat room. He says it's at https://ucsd.news.ucsd.edu/science/mchox.htm.
I'm sure everyone got that. So
Practically writing it down as you speak.
Log onto the damn chat.
Get into the chat room.
Or just go to the University of San Diego website. Or the University of California.
Well, I got this
San
press
Diego.
release off of infidels.org newswire.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, go there and then link to it.
Right. So track it down.
Okay, well, what do you got for us, Harry?
Well, let's see. Let's take a look at some world news briefly. This is coming out of Arusha, Africa. A Roman Catholic priest pleaded not guilty yesterday to charges of genocide and crimes against humanity at the United Nations Tribunal for Rwanda, which is hearing cases related to the killing of more than 500,000 people in 1994. The Reverend Athanasi Serumba, a 37-year-old Hutu, is charged with ordering Hutu extremists to kill thousands of minority Tutsis in April of that year from his parish church in the Rwandan village of, I hope I'm pronouncing this right, Nyange. He has been a priest in Florence, Italy since 1997.
Oh, just another example. Last week
Jeff had more outrage.
Last week Jeff had 2 pages from just that week of crimes committed by people either in the clergy, working on the clergy, working in a church, somehow related to a church in some way. And quite a few of them involved child molestation, but there were other stuff as well. One where they were cooking up the date rape drug.
Oh, yeah, that was amazing.
Date rape drug.
A priest
making
date rape drugs. Was he giving that to the altar boys or what?
Just GHB? Or
GHB.
Yes. I was going to look up what that actually stood for, and I forgot.
It's a very long word.
Yes. It's a very long word. It makes you go sleepy-fied for a while, and you don't know what's happening to you.
Yeah.
Beer.
It takes less GHB than beer. Okay.
GHB? Goose for butt.
Also known as Rohypnol.
I don't know if that's the same chemical or not.
Is it
Rohypnol? Rohypnol is actually a legitimate drug, and GHB I think is something. It may be the same. I'm not really sure.
I heard about the chick who damn near died.
It's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. And with that story last week, I was trying to remember. Was it just the one clergy person who was doing this? It seems like I remember he helped. He had like 2 or 3 people working with him.
A little organization going. But the fact is, here's somebody who's supposed to be, by what the religionists tell us, the higher moral ground, cooking up a date rape drug. Okay. So anyway, on to the next story.
Absolutely horrendous. Yeah. Well,
because those altar boys are getting hard to catch. You gotta put something in their Cheerios. Sorry.
Well, here's
they're all nimble, quick on their feet.
Here's what makes it even worse, is that the church is actually going to the lengths of covering these kinds of crimes up.
And have been doing so
for a very long time.
Yeah, they just shunk these guys off to another diocese where they can just molest the whole new slew of
listen to this. This is in today's BBC News. A pedophile priest who abused 9 boys is living rent-free in a flat owned by the Roman Catholic Church.
Damn.
One of Father Michael Hill's victims said he was, quote-unquote, sickened to learn the disgraced priest was being helped by the church 14 months after his release from prison. The Catholic Diocese of Arundel and Brighton, which had employed Hill as a chaplain to Gatwick Airport in 1985, even though he had license revoked, said it had a duty to house him. A duty to house him.
Well, that's insane.
It is. And here's why. Here's their rationale for it. The present Bishop of Arundel and Brighton, Kieran Conry, told Today the church must accept a certain moral responsibility for Michael Hill. He added, it is, quote, "It is a difficult dilemma to be in because we do appreciate what victims and families of victims would see that we would appear to be providing something to an offender," unquote. Diocese spokesman Father Kevin Dring said, quote, "We are not providing accommodation for the sake of it. We are trying to ensure that he is in a position to be properly supervised," unquote. But get this. Michael Hill, the pedophile, is living a 3-minute walk from primary school.
Oh, great.
This is their idea of keeping an eye on him.
Yeah, I bet. Mm-hmm.
It's not much easier to see when he's molesting children.
Yeah. He had been jailed
We laugh about it, but it really isn't.
It's
funny.
just awful.
It's
I mean,
horrible. Go ahead.
No, you put this guy in a position of authority where we're told that, this is the one you turn to when you need help, and you see what you get for your efforts. And what is it about the clergy that attracts pedophiles?
It's safe because nobody talks about it. Yeah. Nobody talks about the abuse, and as part of the new agreement, with the Catholic Church and its clergy, the new agreement says that these matters will be kept private. So even now that we're hearing about 80 priests accused of sex abuse,
80.
That's out of a total of 930 priests in the archdiocese. So 80 of those have been accused.
Anybody can do the math, find the percentage of that?
Of pedophilia.
Yeah, it's just under 10%. It's about 7% or something.
Cardinal Bernard Law gave a press conference in Boston on Friday. That was obviously yesterday, the 8th?
Yesterday.
Yeah, today's the 9th?
Today's the 9th.
Okay. Yeah, said records that have already led to allegations of child abuse against 80 priests would be combed and combed again in upholding the Boston Archdiocese's promise to uncover past accusations. He was speaking at Logan Airport and after returning from the Vatican. He said that he was saddened that some priests should have previously been removed and have remained active. Let's see. He also said that the Archdiocese would report abuse after documents in the case against defrocked priest John Giogan. He's the guy, I think I'm pronouncing his name correctly. It's Geoghan.
I thought the point was to keep him from getting defrocked.
I know. Yeah. Really.
What's shameful is that it has to take this kind of publicity, to get them to do something about this. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's genuinely disturbing, and again, like you said, these are people who are in positions of trust and authority, and who are abusing those positions of trust and authority to abuse the people who are placing trust and authority. To do the thing that they say that you're not supposed to do until you're married.
And remember, too, those 80 accusations, those 80 allegations are just the ones that have been reported.
Yeah, exactly.
It says here a Suffolk County hotline for sexual abuse victims had received 70 calls by Friday. The Norfolk County District Attorney's Office has established a hotline and asked the Archdiocese for information on 8 more priests named by alleged victims.
Yikes.
So.
Well, on to something cheery.
Yeah.
Never-ending nonsense.
Yeah. I think, Russell, you had something a little bit more lighthearted that we can segue into.
Oh, you want me to talk about Kurt Warner?
Yes.
Okay. Nobody at this table, as far as I know, is a sports fan, or we
were talking about it last week.
Yeah, actually,
no
it was pretty funny because we always go out to dinner after our TV show, and we're all sitting around, and we hear all these people screaming behind us because we're at Chili's and TV sets are on, and some of us are like, "Oh yeah, there's like the Super Bowl or something." Actually, we already knew that because we were doing a TV show opposite the Super Bowl. We had all these really nice comments.
It was like this big hug fest last Sunday. I mean, everybody was just so sweet and friendly and everything.
And they were watching football.
Right.
Football.
There was something extremely comical that was brought to my attention, though. Apparently, like the losing team was the St. Louis Rams, and if there are any sports fans in there, I'm sure I'm going to say plenty of things that totally betray me as a non-sports geek. But anyway, Kurt Warner is the quarterback for the Rams, I guess, and a couple of years ago he won the Super Bowl. And at the time, I'll just read this little segment on him that I've got from back around that time. Kurt Warner of the St. Louis Rams, the hottest quarterback in the National Football League, prints his own trading cards, but it's not an ego thing. The cards tell the story. Wait, no, worse than that. The cards tell the story of Kurt Warner turning his life over to Christ. He carries them around so he'll have something meaningful to hand out to the fans who ask for his autograph. Kurt is now a celebrity, but says he owes his success to Brenda and his faith. He declined an appearance on the David Letterman show to spend his wedding anniversary with Brenda. He has his own Frosted Flake cereal, Warner's Crunch Time, and the proceeds go to Camp Barnabas, a Christian camp in Purdy, Montana, I guess, for children with special needs. Warner told his story at a Billy Graham event in St. Louis last fall. Who am I? I'm a devout Christian man, he told the crowd of 40,000. I am not a football player. That is what I do. When I throw a touchdown pass now, my thoughts are on how I can use this success on the field as a platform to glorify and praise my Lord Jesus Christ. People often ask the secret of my success as a football player. It has nothing to do with how I work out in the off-season or my diet. The secret of my success is simply Jesus Christ. Okay, so
has he ever lost a game in his career?
Hold on. This was 2 years ago after he won the Super Bowl. Okay. Now they lost it. Does anyone know if Kurt Warner has come out and said, I blame Jesus Christ for our loss?
Yeah.
I doubt it.
Yeah.
But there's a whole idea of God and Jesus up there, like on their heavenly sofa, going, God damn it! Oh, you asshole!
What do you need to foul? What are you blind?
I'm omniscient. Don't you tell me that was a good one.
That's $50 you owe me. You go to hell. I'm already done.
Pay up, Jesus, but my hands are still nailed to the cross, damn it.
Oh, boy.
You just pissed off a Christ church. Actually, you're probably listening to this show.
Yeah, we can say whatever we want. But yeah, it's, it gets back to this whole thing, right? Let's say you have some terrible tragedy, train crash, kaboom, 500 people are killed. One person survives, and they say, it's a miracle. Jesus protected me. And the opinion of, like, the, 500 people who died is not, given as to, what they're, I guess I wasn't good enough for this miracle, so I got killed. But God, do you like this one guy on the train,
Let's get him! Oh, my. Well, anybody up for some more silliness?
But what a great fan endorsement, right? If you can get Jesus as your number one fan endorsement, then boy howdy.
No, well, what I'd really like to hear from a coach sometime is, okay, men, this is going to be a tough game because Jesus is on their side.
Oh, man.
Jesus up in his little skybox suite, someone has got a crown and cook, picked up.
Drinking out of the Holy Grail.
God, I paid $500,000 for this goddamn box.
Oh, we kid religious football players.
No, we don't. We mock them mercilessly.
Yeah. So let's mock somebody in politics mercilessly. Oh, I don't know that this story is actually true, and it's kind of one of those flaky stories that, if it is true, it's ridiculous. If it isn't true, it's still funny. So, it appears that our Attorney General...
Wait, we did that last week.
We did that last week?
No, we didn't get to it.
We didn't get to it.
We had barely enough time.
I think we missed this.
We've got to do Calico Cats.
All right, fine.
But our Attorney General, who when he ran for governor, was the state that was preferred to vote for a dead man than to have this guy as governor, is afraid of calico cats, who thinks they're the sign of the devil.
Really, he said this.
According to his aides, who have said that he does think that calico cats are a sign of the devil. And then again, this story shows. Then again, Attorney General does not hide his deep religious faith. One need only read his remarks at the Bob Jones University to get some appreciation of that. And a lot of deeply religious people do believe in heaven and hell and the devil. So it may not be so odd that the story of Nancy is so odd as the story of Nancy Reagan consulting her astrologer before letting Ronnie make important decisions. Calico cats? Come on, man!
Why calico?
I have no idea.
I mean,
doesn't really
like
get into
black
that much
cats would be
detail.
obvious.
It's just more of a little quip that Attorney General John Ashcroft is.
Well, I mean, we all know he's a fundamentalist cretin, but
and remember, his own state would rather vote for a dead man.
I'm just still trying to.
I don't think we get past this. That they rather had voted for a dead man.
Oh well.
Okay.
Let's talk about this whole. Apparently, there has been, getting back to like goofball superstitions and things. Reverend Donald Wildman, who is the American Family Association guy, has this, I guess, letter writing campaign that he started up against the 7-Up company.
Dr. Pepper 7-Up.
Oh,
yeah, because they put. Do you have that news report? Okay.
Yeah. No, I don't. But actually, I just called up the Snopes story.
Okay, there isn't. They've put. They've printed or are printing or are planning to print or something of that, one of those, the Pledge of Allegiance on the side of these soda cans, right? They've done it already?
Yeah.
Have you seen one?
There's a figure on the list.
The girl who first complained was loading the cans in a machine, and she saw them, and
apparently it's the original text of the pledge that has one nation indivisible.
Right,
with
the
under
version
God.
that was before 1954 when Joe McCarthy and his cronies put it in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right. Although, do we know if it's the one that ends with liberty, justice, and equality for all, or
liberty and justice for all? No,
okay, they just took out.
They actually claim that they were trying to save space.
I mean, come on, don't need to back down.
I think they actually had an
excuse.
I think they actually had an ellipsis on the can between one nation indivisible.
Okay.
So if they have an ellipsis there, that means
they took out
people
under God.
Yeah, if you have the ellipsis there, you're kind of making a big we took out under God. But they don't. I don't think they need to apologize for having the original text of the Pledge of Allegiance, which is the more inclusive, secular, non-discriminatory text
that lasted all the way up till 1954.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But do we know if if any of these drinks have been distributed in Austin or in Texas?
I don't know. I drink Dr. Pepper on a regular basis, so I'll let you know if I find one.
Hang on. From the Snopes page, which is where I always look up urban legends, and they've declared this one to be true. Let's see. We've got let's see. The official response given to the Associated Press by Michael Martin, Dr. Pepper's Director of Corporate Communications, was: there is a fairly limited area for graphics on a standard can after the required information is included. We think we have a message that is resoundingly patriotic, a non-denominational, bipartisan message that we are a united nation. Very nice.
Yeah. That's
here.
And it goes on. Although 18 million Dr. Pepper cans bearing the new design have been distributed or had been produced by February 2002, the company said they had received only 4 complaints from Dubuque and 200
Iowa,
other 200 other negative comments nationwide. That's pretty small.
Wow. Okay,
Yeah,
so
apparently these cans are
280 million.
Write to Dr. Pepper and applaud them.
18
Yeah.
million.
and
No,
just
but out of the whole country.
Yeah, but
just-
18
Oh, but they
million
made 18 million
cans.
cans. Oh, okay.
drink Dr. Pepper constantly. Yeah, until you
Yeah,
fall down.
I love that one.
Dr.
Do you know
Pepper and a proud.
I don't even
Yeah.
like
Part
Dr.
of the
Pepper.
original crowd. And if you, I forgot.
Yeah.
This is great. We can't do this on the TV show.
Yeah,
I know, we can't
Sing
advocate,
jingles.
advocate products.
No.
Yeah. Speaking of Dr. Pepper, and we can segue this into one of our members. Anyone know how Larry Mayfield's doing? Is he all right?
Yes.
Come along?
Yeah, Laura and Michelle and I went to see him last week,
Oh, good.
and he would love, for another product placement, he would love anybody to bring him some Bill Miller barbecue. He said he was
all
just
right.
having a fit, wanting some barbecue.
We had this
Yeah.
member who had
We're all
some
Texans
thing
here.
with his
He
like.
had an infection.
He had an
Yeah,
infection
infection
in
Infection
his
spread
tooth.
to the
Yeah.
frontal lobes of his brain.
That's-
In order to remove it, they had to take out a third of his frontal lobe.
God.
Ouch.
Yeah.
He's apparently doing really well.
He does. He looks really
But
good.
that's a serious major operation.
Well, yeah, that's where they like lobotomize you.
Yeah.
You know.
They had
But
to
he's-
cut the infection out.
Yes.
But he's okay though.
Right.
Well, read about it. His parents, his family lives in the only town in Texas where they have a Dr. Pepper plant, where they still use the original recipe,
yeah.
which is imperial purricane sugar as opposed to the corn syrup that they
Right.
use. And it's the flavor of the drink isn't substantially different, but it seems a little fresher because it doesn't have like that lingering kind of syrupy quality that the corn syrup has.
Not to
It's
mention
just-
it's fresh from the factory.
yeah.
My brother's been to that factory,
Oh,
and
wow.
So
he has a Dr. Pepper artifact that was given out sometime like in the 30s or something. And when he was going through their museum, he was describing it, and they looked it up in the books and found out what time period it came from. The people at Dr. Pepper have never seen one. Yeah, it's really cool. He's got like an original Dr. Pepper artifact.
Wow.
And,
Wow.
and I'm like, I'm going to steal it from him. It's going to be mine. Oh, yes, it will be mine.
There's a place we're getting a little off topic here, but it's fine. Well, you know, atheists talk about other stuff. But
we ramble on.
Yeah.
well, there's in my parents' hometown, there's this little general store where they still take these return bottles
Oh, yeah.
and and then send them back to the plant, and the plant fills them back up sodas and sends them back out. So you can go to my parents' hometown and buy like an RC Cola in a 35-year-old bottle.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, they're a little scuffed, they're a little,
Yeah,
but it's the original
wow.
bottle with the old logo, and it's a fresh
Wow.
drink, and they just keep.
Recycling
Amazing.
the bottles.
Well, I've got a couple of other things to get through. Mary, what about you?
I do too, but go ahead.
Okay, we were actually a little worried that we wouldn't be able to fill enough time without Jeff here.
Yeah.
But
Hey, the show's not over
we've
yet.
got 5 people actively working the
doing
microphones for a
good.
change. Yeah, so let's see. Here's one from this Thursday. Bush urges Americans to tap power of prayer. Did anybody hear any of this?
I
No,
actually
but
saw
I
the
caught
prayer
a little bit
breakfast
on the radio.
speech. I saw the last half of the prayer breakfast speech, and he made one statement that, coming from Bush, was kind of strange. Was that?
You mean the non-believer part?
Yeah, there was some non-believer that
Yeah,
something
well, there
about
was some
tolerance
stuff.
can come from outside of religion,
well,
and
let me-
intolerance can come from religion.
Let me read the stuff so they know what we're
Right.
talking about, and then we can talk about it. President Bush on Thursday urged Americans of all faiths to turn to prayer as they struggle through this time of testing after the terrorist attacks. Bush said, religious faith teaches tolerance, humility, and the value of community service, all of which are needed to recover from September 11th and vanquish terrorism. Every religion, speaking as Bush, I ought to say terrorism.
In America.
America.
America?
Nuclear.
Nuclear. There's no mention of nuclear.
Oh, well.
Anyway, I urge all Americans to stop these terrorists. Every religion is welcomed in our country. All are practiced here. Many of our citizens profess no religion at all. Our country has never had an official faith. Yet we have all been witnesses these past 21 weeks to the power of faith to see us through the hurt and loss that has come onto the country, Bush said at the National Prayer Breakfast. So, it's kind of a mixed bag, because on the one hand, he's finally acknowledging that, there are some there are some Americans who have no religion.
Which is a lot.
In the very next breath, which I don't see printed here, he then goes on to say we should all pray anyway, or something along those lines.
Well, you got to kind of take the silver lining on this. I mean, when you consider that his father, when in office, came flat out and just openly expressed bigotry to atheists by saying that atheists should not be even considered U.S. citizens.
Right.
This is a big step from, so this is it's probably difficult for him.
Yeah, but speechwriters pay attention to the pollsters.
Yeah.
True.
Mm-hmm.
And then, Bush couldn't write a speech if he had.
Yeah, when Senior Bush gave that wonderful quote to the press, that was off the cuff.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, but I mean, it's still...
But off the cuff,
and Bush's Junior Bush's handlers know a lot better than to let him say anything.
But here's, again, what amuses me is like... It was a few weeks ago when he had a similar little, speaking to a gathering like this, where he told everyone that he felt protected by the power of their prayers, like he felt Americans' prayers wafting over him or something like that.
Making a magic shield.
Or something like that. And then 2 days later, he's watching a football game in the White House, and he chokes on a pretzel and passes out, lands on his face. Okay, no, we're not...
Did anybody see him when he was walking out of the...
well, he had this enormous shine on his eye.
Yeah. Face.
And, it's not amusing. He hurts himself. I mean, but what was amusing is, I immediately thought, well, gee, I guess everybody was... my image of all of these millions of Christian Bush supporters going, pray, blah, 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 blah. And at that moment, they take like a 5-minute break from their nonstop giving him a prayer shield, and...
You know what it is?
There's that one guy in the corner.
Is it this thing that needs...
prayer does work.
Yeah. Is there this nonstop... Is a prayer shield this thing that needs nonstop maintenance, and if you lay it down for a minute, God goes off and,
It's because God and Jesus were watching the game, too.
I guess, I don't know. So.
Oh, yeah, they forgot about the shield.
But it's just always amusing when one guy just like, I'm protected by God! It's like the guy in Monty Python's Life of Brian, where the blind guy's like, "Hey, he's killed me, I can see it." It's just, just how ridiculous can you get to just? I mean, you just walked right into that one. I mean, professing that oh, you Americans, you're saying all these magical prayer incantations, and the invisible man is protecting me from above, and I can feel your. And then he chokes on a pretzel. What kind of prayer protection is that?
I feel your prayers upon me.
Yeah. Oh, we were so busy praying for terrorism that we forgot there were darn pretzels. They can be so small and often deep-throat. No, that's enough of my commentary.
Let's see. We got 10 minutes left. I think it's Mary's turn. But since we're close to wrapping up, I'd like to do something that will hopefully substitute for Jeff's usual critical thinking segment.
Oh, great.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Well, do you want to start with that?
I
just have one
do you
more.
Have something short? Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I thought this was really interesting. We've been talking in the past several weeks about Harry Potter and the fact that a lot of Christian groups, can't believe that Harry Potter is not the devil incarnate, and that he's promoting witchcraft by J.K. Rowling's books, being in the stores, et cetera, et cetera. Well, there's a story on MSNBC's website about a Christian book series called Left Behind. Well, the name of this particular one, Left Behind, but a publisher, Bantam Books, is paying nearly $45 million for apocalyptic thrillers based on the Bible.
It's not surprising. They're selling like crazy.
Right.
Mary, were you at our party when we showed the movie version of that?
No, I wasn't.
Made fun of it?
No.
No, again, not...
you mean you made fun of the book that was written by Tim
The movie.
Leahy?
They made the
movie version with Kirk Cameron from Growing
I had no idea. No, really?
The authors of the books
goodness.
have repudiated this film. They can't stand the film. But to me, it's always... Now, even though these books are like phenomenal bestsellers and everything, again, not all Christians buy into this hyper-fundy, evangelical...
No, absolutely not.
I saw a book at Barnes & Noble recently called Right Behind, which is a parody of Buck Behind. and it's like, it's written for people familiar with the novel, because it's kind of, but it's only like about 100 pages, but it follows the basic plot, but it's this comedy, version of this. But it's written these two guys who are Christians, who think these books are like the stupidest shit around, and so
That would be right.
but they go on to about how, and then there's a little afterword that I read, because I was like, well, this is something I should bring up on the show, but well, it's a Christian parody of this stuff, but they go on at the end and they have a little afterword where they talk about how this evangelical entertainment sub-industry that's sprung up around, fundamentalist Christianity is really kind of this incredibly dumb thing that, Jesus probably wouldn't go for. So it was just amusing,
And I saw MC Hammer last night on the Religion Channel. What is it?
TBN?
That's it, TBN. And, I mean, I just think...
The bullshit network?
Yeah. I mean, it just amazed me that this guy could go from, being the top-selling pop star in America, and then he becomes this gangsta rap guy, and he changes his name to Hammer, and then now he's on TBN, preaching, and I just thought anything for
Wait,
fun.
you mean he actually...
Yes, he's preaching. He's like a TV televangelist now.
But he's always been openly Christian. Back when he was
that's true.
Back when he was a pop star, one of his big hits was a song called
Pray.
Yeah.
Right.
Of course, this makes Weird Al's parody of his parody of his song even more appropriate, which is "I can't watch this."
And I know that I know that people have to.
Trevor just said, "I want praying mantises to make an official statement that they're all atheists."
That's what we pray.
Should I do this or not?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, go for it. Do
We're
it.
running out of time. I'm
go
not
ahead.
sure how much of it I'm going to get through, but
We'll
I wanted to
cut you off
read.
when we get ready, Kyrie.
Okay. I wanted to read something by Carl Sagan. We're down to the last 5 minutes, and this is where Jeff would often do his critical thinking segment. And this is from Carl Sagan's book, The Demon Haunted World, and it's about standards of evidence.
Everybody read that book.
It's a
Yes.
very good book.
Excellent.
I started it. I'm enjoying it.
And
What's wrong with you? Leave immediately and finish reading that book.
this is an essay called "The Dragon in My Garage." A fire-breathing dragon lives in my garage. Suppose I seriously make such an assertion to you. Surely you'd want to check it out, see for yourself. There have been innumerable stories of dragons over the centuries, but no real evidence. What an opportunity! Show me, you say. I lead you to my garage. You look inside and see a ladder, empty paint cans, an old tricycle, but no dragon. Where's the dragon, you ask?
Whoa.
Oh, she's right here, I reply, waving vaguely. I neglected to mention that she's an invisible dragon. You propose spreading flour on the floor of the garage to capture the dragon's footprints. Good idea, I say, but this dragon floats in the air. Then you'll use an infrared sensor to detect the invisible fire. Good idea, but the invisible fire is also heatless.
Oh.
You'll spray paint the dragon and make her visible. Good idea, but she's an incorporeal dragon and the paint won't stick. And so on. I counter every physical test you propose with a special explanation of why it won't work. Now, what's the difference between an invisible, incorporeal, floating dragon who spits heatless fire and no dragon at all?
None! Am I right? Do I get the prize? Do I get
Ding, ding, ding! I heard the bell go off.
If there's no way to disprove my contention, no conceivable experiment that would count against it, what does it mean to say that my dragon exists? Your inability to invalidate my hypothesis is not at all the same thing as proving it true. Claims that cannot be tested, assertions immune to disproof, are veridically worthless, whatever value they may have in inspiring us or in exciting our sense of wonder. What I'm asking you to do comes down to believing in the absence of evidence on my say-so.
And this is what Carl Sagan was asking us to do.
Yes.
Okay.
The only thing you've really learned from my insistence that there is a dragon in my garage is that something funny is going on inside my head. You'd wonder, if no physical tests apply, what convinced me? The possibility that it was a dream or a hallucination would certainly enter your mind, but then why am I taking it so seriously? Maybe I need help. At the least, maybe I've seriously underestimated human fallibility. Imagine that despite none of the tests being successful, you wish to be scrupulously open-minded. So you don't outright reject the notion that there's a fire-breathing dragon in my garage, you merely put it on hold. Present evidence is strongly against it, but if a new body of data emerge, you're prepared to examine it and see if it convinces you. Surely it's unfair of me to be offended at not being believed, or to criticize you for being stodgy and unimaginative merely because you rendered the Scottish verdict of not proved. I think I can stop there.
Yeah. Well, that's 2 minutes left into our program.
Yes.
Thanks for all our special guests, Martin Wagner.
Thank you.
And
If you're in Austin, watch
Tabony.
Atheist Experience tomorrow, 4:30 on Channel 10.
Yes, Atheist Experience. Just go ahead and say that again.
4:30 on Channel 10 if you're in Austin. Watch Atheist Experience. Me and David Clark doing this kind of thing, but on TV.
And the live call-in show.
Yeah.
Yes, that's always fun.
Yeah.
And the creation evolution debate that we mentioned is this Saturday.
This Friday.
It's Friday, 6:30 p.m.
And
Charles still has some tickets left.
yes. And I don't know. And we'll be back again next week at our same usual time
Hopefully with our regular crew.
with our regular crew, who will not be sick that week.
Yes.
But I won't be
and I won't be
here.
on call, but Mary's not going to.
I won't be here because I'll be out of town for my
Well,
cousin's
I
wedding.
said I wasn't going to be here this week, and here I am.
Yeah.
And y'all say hello to Samantha, because
Hi,
she's
Samantha.
Anyway, are we off? Well, we're not off.
No, but I'm going to put the music on.
Okay, well,
Okay, bye all.
bye. See you next
See you,
week.
everybody.
Thanks for having me on.
Bye.
Bye.
Sure.